Hello quilters, let's make a table runner. Here's the table runner that I'm going to walk you through. There are 4 blocks and sashing, border, and binding. So let's look at the fabrics that I've picked out for this project. I like to use little trays or small boxes. Even paper plates work well for holding my fabric pieces. So I have everything cut already. This is my yellow fabric. This is the sashing. These are the triangles for the corner, for the half rectangle, half rectangle triangles. No, half triangle rectangles. There we go. And then instead of teal, I'm using this orange. And then I have my white squares and 4 2.5-inch squares. And then it's sort of dark teal, I'm using this green. So I have the 5.5-inch squares cut for that. This will be my border. In here it's a teal color, but I picked the orange to go with the print that goes in the blocks. And then this green with the red dots will be the binding. All right, so let's look at how the oh my gosh, what are they called? Half rectangle triangles. And the way these go together is that there's a set that goes one way and a set that goes the other way. So this will be one set, and then this will be another set. And you'll need 8 of each. So you notice they're mirror images between the yellow and the print. So let me show you how to sew one of these, and the rest are all basically the same. I have trimmed the tips off here so that it's easier to line everything up. But the goal is that once you stitch across here and open this up, you'll have a rectangle. Your edges will be even. I'm using a scrap piece of fabric here as my leader and ender. That allows me to stitch without having to pull off a big long string of thread, so that saves on thread. So then this will get pressed open. Press it to the dark fabric, in my case the orange print. And then this should measure 2.5 by 4.5. So I'm just going to take my ruler and double check that I have, it's just a tad over, so I would trim this to make sure that it's exactly 2.5 by 4.5. That way it'll fit into the block pieces, into the block construction when we get all of our other units finished. So let's make 8 of these. There's 2 different sets, 2 left sets and 2 right sets. And then the next step is to make the half square, oh my gosh, I can't remember, quarter square triangle. So we start with a half square triangle, and then we cut those and sew them together with another piece of fabric to make quarter square triangles. So we don't need our 2.5 inch squares right now. And we start with our 6-inch blocks. So we take the teal or the orange in my case, and then a white square, and you're going to draw a diagonal line across here. I've already made mine. My squares aren't exactly the same, but we have lots of extra fabric, so just center them together, line them up so they're evenly spaced together. I like to put a couple pins in here because of the size of the piece, just to make sure it doesn't shift. And you're going to sew a 1/4 inch on both sides of the line. So if you're following along on the pattern, it's on page 3. This is a quick way to make 2 half square triangles. And then we are going to go one step beyond and make quarter square triangles. Okay, and I am going to cut this along the center line, the diagonal line. And you'll be doing 4 of these at this step. You'll make 4. So you can chain piece them through the machine, cut them all at the same time, press them all at the same time. But I'm just showing you one block so you can see how it's done, and maybe I can give you some good tips on how I do it. So I'm just going to finger press this. I don't have my iron over here. But we're at the end of page 3. So the next step is to take this piece now, and we're going to draw a line diagonally so it crosses through both pieces. I'm going to use a dark pen because of the print fabric to make sure that it shows up. So I went real light on my white, but this is on the inside of your table runner, so you really don't have to worry about the drawing. Next, you'll take one of your dark teal, or in my case it's green, and you want it right side up, right sides together. Again, just line up your corners, center your blocks over top of each other as best you can. We have lots of extra fabric, so don't worry if they don't match exactly. Again, I'm just going to pin this in a couple spots so it doesn't shift and twist. Same as before, we're going to stitch down a 1/4 inch on each side of the line, not on the line, but down a 1/4 inch away from each side of the line. Just spin this around, pull some thread out a little bit, and go down the other side. Be careful that this seam doesn't split up, it doesn't flip up. And then we're going to cut these two apart right on that line. This is your seam allowance, so doesn't have to be 100% accurate. But that's our block. And then I would press it towards the green or the dark teal if you're using the same colors. So there's a couple ways to trim these blocks. And probably the easiest way is to just take your ruler. You're going to trim them to 4.5-inch square. So you want to, I'm going to start this way since I'm left-handed. You want this corner to be right on the line. My 45-degree angle should go right along that seam line. And then I'm going to slide the ruler this way until I get to the 4.5-inch mark. 4.5 there and 4.5 over here. And then I trim them up on each side. Let me get my cutting mat out, my rotary cutter. Go over to the cutting mat. I'm going to cut these two sides. And then I would turn it. And now you're going to place the edge of the fabric along the 4.5-inch sides that you just cut. Again, making sure that this 45-degree line is right on your seam line for those quarter triangles. Trim the two sides. And there we have our squared block. So we need 4 of these for each block. And each one of the green squares is going to make two sets. So let's go ahead and make all those, trim everything to the proper size, and then we're going to pick up on page 5 where we start to put all the units together to make our block.